When the plate is served on the table in front of you, we as chefs only get one try to make a good impression. If we fail to design the meal into something visually appetizing, it can ruin the rest of your night as a guest. I've always liked creating with color and form, from 80s graffiti paintings at night to creating with clay or as today, cooking. Which is one of the most ultimate ways to be creative in my opinion. You as a guest eat with your eyes. If you don't like what you see, you won't fully appreciate the rest of the experience either. A meal should look good, it should smell good, it should have the right texture, and you can only get that through the right temperatures. But above all, it should taste good. So the more ingredients a meal contains, the more things to keep track of, the more gear we need like ovens and staff when preparing the food. Some products lose their color, which spoils the whole thing even if it tastes delicious. If you divide the potatoes that you are going to make mashed potatoes from or use the wrong potatoes, the texture will be watery and it won't taste good even if it looks perfect. Fish has a core temperature of plus 42 C, pork must have an internal temperature of plus 65 C to be perfect, but in a restaurant it must not be below plus 72 C due to safety reasons. On top of all this, you have to keep track of all the Western special diets, which is completely impossible, not to say ridiculous. If you want to lose weight, stop drinking alcohol, eat sweets, and start moving that ass. Yes, I can tell you that. I've done it and went from 126 kilo to 78 kilo, so don't you dare point the finger at me. In the 90s, chefs were treated like kings, something I never appreciated. The kitchen was divided into us and them, something I never accepted, so I personally think it's good that that attitude belongs to the past. Cold kitchen, hot kitchen, the service staff, the counters, etc. all worked under the same roof but not under the same conditions. If the cook was king, the dishwasher was the servant, some were considered more important than others. Which I tried to oppose as long as I worked with food, because we are all equally important. The guests ate what was served, and if they didn't like it, they went to the next place that served what they wanted. Every person in this chain is just as important. The chef can't cook unless the dishwasher does his job, and without cooks the dishwasher has no job. The cold kitchen and the hot kitchen need to work together to be able to fit the times, so if these are not co-working, the guest will suffer. Without the service staff, the guest will not get their food either, and without guests, no one in the restaurant has anything to do. We are all needed for this machinery to work, but unfortunately the guest has started to believe that he is king, which has led to many good chefs quitting and refusing to set foot in a kitchen again. COVID was the final straw for many. People were fired after the first wave, which we all accepted. The restaurants then rehired most of them, only to fire almost everyone again 6 months later for the same reason. So when the restaurants tried to rehire the staff a third time, they got the finger. You don't treat people like crap without consequences. The restaurant staff is one of the most underpaid professional roles according to agreement. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. So they have now started to attract young people with a slightly higher salary, but at the same time, the older people who have worked for 20 to 30 years do not earn a dime more in salary. The older ones are then expected to lead the younger ones, show the way and teach them everything they need to know. Anyone who believes in that philosophy is mistaken. I don't think I know anyone who accepts this. Myself included, I don't help newbies who earn more than me with 20 years of experience, and it's not to be mean to the person. It's about the capitalist trying to take advantage of me. He needs to learn to protect the knowledge we older people possess, and as I said, every action has its consequence, and at the end of the day you as a guest will suffer from this. Because when you let people out of school, who call themselves chefs but can't even handle a knife let alone work at the pace the rest of us are used to, I wonder how you as guests and the owners of the restaurants thought this service shall continue. We are already seeing the result. Many restaurants have had to close, and more will have to close within the next few years. Then add the guest who thinks he knows everything about food just because he's seen Gordon Ramsay on TV. It's like me claiming that I can fly a plane just because I saw how to do it in a simulator. It's exactly the same thing. Not all guests are this way, but far too many, as they make up the majority. You get up early in the morning and prepare a 3 by 3 course meal, 3 starters, 3 main courses and 3 desserts. The guest is not satisfied with this, even though they themselves have chosen to visit that particular restaurant. They want to pick tomatoes from one of the main dishes. When you demonstrate that this is not possible, they get upset and start to demonstrate that we in the kitchen are there for the sake of the guest. They then complain that it's expensive, but don't consider that there are several of us who have stood for 6 hours preparing this. We count every single product we prepare and buy the best raw materials we can for the budget we are allocated. They then come to our workplace and consume alcohol, which as a rule never makes the person a better such. They are rude to the serving staff and think they are part of the service and therefore can treat them like pieces of meat through rude comments and physical approaches. If the person in question protest, then there is a high risk that he or she will be fired. Men and women don't matter. When the alcohol starts to give results, the majority behaves wrongly and it doesn't matter if it's the more expensive or the cheaper places. Alcohol brings out the worst in people. But what you don't think about is that the young girl or boy who tries to do us justice in the kitchen by serving these guests is someone's partner, daughter, father, etc. Everyone is subjected to these abuses, and the more the guest is paid, the worse he behaves overall. For me, it is quite easy to see where in the salary system a person is. The worker generally shows respect and consideration, but as this group is so enormously large, there will of course be more frequent conflicts with this group. The top managers, they rarely have anything to prove and have the greatest respect for the staff. They usually give a laugh and a nice conversation about how the day has been. She can take the time to be humble and show an understanding of the work you put in during the day. The worst are the middle managers who assert themselves at the expense of others because they think that's how they need to be in order to lead the people. A boss, not a leader. In the last 15 years, the kitchen staff have begun to understand the importance of working together. The chefs can now help in the cold kitchen as well as the disher. Many places try to force the kitchen staff into the dishes, so you don't just have to cook the food, but take care of the maintenance to make the kitchen work. The authorities in Sweden have increased the requirements for hygiene and now I am generalizing this very harshly, which doesn't do it justice. Many guests are still wonderful and show their gratitude for the work we put in, because however it is, we older people appreciate this profession enormously. Seeing the guests enjoy themselves and have a pleasant event is what we see as a reward, because how many employees have the joy of actually making other people not just glad but truly happy? A smile and a thank you gives the energy to get up the next morning and do it all again. So to those who are not affected by what I am now saying, thank you. It is for you that we continue to do what we love to do, so keep it up. Am I exaggerating in my claims? No, it has gone so far that a proposal has been made that anyone who cannot show a medical certificate that they are intolerant to, e.g. lactose, gluten, etc., can eat what is on the menu. And I think it's regrettable because again, the few are ruining the majority regarding that issue. But the majority, depending on where I've worked, still can't behave under the influence of alcohol. Should I behave in the same way, make the same unreasonable demands as many guests do but at their workplace? Geez, I would get so much crap and even worse service than what is offered today. I can't ask, say, the airlines to make a stopover on the way because it suits me best. I can't go to H&M and demand that they sell a brand other than what they offer, then I have to go to the store that receives that service. So why do so many demand so much more than what they pay for and on top of that then behave badly towards the restaurant staff? When you make a booking for, say, a catering service, the booking is contacted and everything is managed between these two parties. As a rule, you never book anything directly with the kitchen. The kitchen then receives the order, you do what is written on the order. So if the kitchen didn't do it right, it's in short supply due to lack of communication from the person who made the order. Nevertheless, the customer contacts the kitchen to show that it is missing something. The kitchen then does everything to correct the situation as we work to make people happy. Even if it got nothing to do with the kitchen. But when you get bad treatment because of the customer's lack of communication, it ruins the whole day and the joy is so gone to even try to make someone happy. We also have families and friends. We can't just let go of such treatment, as many of us have enormous pride in what we do. We don't work in the restaurant business to get rich, we work in it to make others happy, but our families get to share these bad days when we get home. Only because someone has seen on television how it should be, and because we have enormous professional pride. So if I believe that neither the cook nor the dishwasher has the right to see themselves as better than anyone else, then neither should the guest. Because even if you pay our low salary, we make sure you have something to pay for. We are all a piece of the overall picture. If you remove a single factor from that picture, everything falls apart. And as many guests behave today, soon there will be no one who wants to work to make you happy. Maybe bear thinking about in the future, because it is only according to ICA's advertising from the 90s that proves that the customer is always right. If so, then as a customer I have a right at your company. If you want to go down that way, that's fine with me, 'cause I can be a bitch as well.